And we used to play these cricket trump cards. And there used to be a 6 for 12 with Anil Kumble on a trump card. And the moment you had it, you won any hand that Mahendra Singh Dhoni is hitting his 40s. And he's comfortably playing the IPL format.
I don't think RCB has defeated CSK.
You mean at Chennai?
At Chennai.
Hi, hello and welcome back to Kutti Stories with Ash, powered by Peter England. Today's guest is someone I'm actually nervous to introduce. I don't know where to begin and where to go through, how to transverse through it. Someone I admired as a young cricketer, someone I've played under as a coach, would have loved to bowl with him. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. He's picked up 10 wickets in an innings. He has some wonderful spells in the IPL. His 6 for 12 as a trump card event was a winner for me every time I played trump cards. Welcome on the show, Anil Bhai. Thank you.
Thank you, Ash. You nervous? That's a bit of a understatement. Huh? You being nervous, I've never thought that you would ever become nervous.
No, Anil Bhai, it's the question of who's on the table with you, right? And obviously, recently we did a master class.
We sort of exchanged now. So that was my first interview. You're a seasoned pro here. So you being nervous in front of the camera is a bit. I don't.
You don't agree with that?
I don't agree with that, surely.
Okay, let's see. At the end of it, we'll make a decision. But it's not about nervousness about the camera. It's about the person that you're sitting with, Anil Bhai. And you know I have the amount of respect that I have for you. Anil Bhai, I was thinking a lot about where to begin, how to take this conversation forward. But I thought there was one defining point in T20 cricket, right? And a lot of senior players, you were on the 2008 Monkey Gate series when India played Australia. And post that, the IPL began. And you had to come and play for RCB. But a lot of you opted out of the 2007 World Cup. After the 2007 50-over World Cup didn't go India's way, you guys opted out of the 2007 T20 World Cup. But what followed up and why did you guys opt out and how did you take to T20 cricket post that?
No, for me it was an easy decision because I had already retired from white ball cricket. I had announced my retirement from ODI cricket immediately after the World Cup 2007 in West Indies. So for me, T20 was not even on the plate. So yes, some of the senior players in South Africa, the first ever international that India played, they opted out. For reason probably saying, okay, we've had a lot of test cricket, a lot of one-day cricket, give the opportunity to some of the younger players to play in that format. That perhaps was one of the reasons. I did play my first T20 game when I played for Surrey in English County. So I have played T20. This was 2006.
Okay.
So 2006, I did play in a T20 format much sooner or much earlier than some of the Indian players who played for India.
How did you go?
I did well. Yeah, Surrey did do a good job at that T20 tournament. We had Ram Prakash,
Mark Ram
Prakash. I think his average score in that season was 200. and I remember one game against Gloucester, we scored 270 in a 20-over game.
270 in a 20-over?
270 in a 20-over game. And the T20 format in England was brought in with restrictions on run-ups. They wanted the 20-over format to finish in a certain time. That was one of the reasons why the shortest format began.
Wow.
And fast bowlers had a restriction in their run-up. Spinners had you could bowl, you could take a run-up, and the batter had to be ready to face the first ball within less than a minute. And that's one of the reasons why the dugout came in, not necessarily from the dressing room. So all of this, now if you look back at the T20 game itself, the slowest format in terms of overs per hour, I don't need to take a guess, it's the T20. Because you probably take the longest time to finish your 20 overs in a T20 format than in any other format.
It's unbelievable, that story, because you would like to think that so many things happened in the T20 sport evolved because of marketing reasons and how the public loved it. But the ultimate reason why the English fans loved it was because of the prudency in time.
Yes.
And that's quite surprising. Yeah.
And that also brought in new fans as well, because some of the younger
Family audience.
younger family audience, and youngsters walked in, because otherwise, you played county cricket. Generally, the four-day formats brought in the senior people coming there and sitting and literally scoring every ball. And the T20 format obviously was brought in to fast track everything, try and speed up the game. But yes, that's been the beginning, and it's wonderful to see the game grow.
Yeah, Anil Bhai, it's interesting that you said it began in England. You played the 2006 edition first, and you played T20 cricket well in advance before the Indian cricketers played. But the IPL was nothing like it, right? It's grown up to be a beast. Like, it's literally, I mean, I've spoken to some of the cricketers from the Western world, and what did they think of it? Without naming them, they actually thought the IPL would be one of those, tournaments that ran for 2 years, 3 years, because there was an incidence of an ICL that happened,
yes.
and the tournament got done away with. When the IPL began, did you think it will just last for a bit, or what was your thinking around it?
I mean, I was towards the end of my career, so for me, the T20 format, franchise cricket, I certainly knew that it's the beginning of something really big, because you had really high-profile people involved in the teams. People who had bought teams were all corporate entities. All of them, certainly knew the marketing of the game. And at the start, yes, for T20, of course, when RCB picked me, I was not a part of the icon list. And for some reason, I was not a part of that. So I was in the auction.
Sorry to cut you in. You had an Anil Kumble circle. You're shooting in Bangalore right now, and you have an Anil Kumble circle. How did it feel not to be an icon player for Bangalore, Namma Bengaluru?
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those things where I was the captain of India in test matches, and for some reason I was not a part of the icon list, so I was a part of the auction, which obviously I did not participate in, but my name was in the auction list. And I remember somebody telling me that as soon as my name came up, it was not like how it is now. My name came up, Mr. Vijay Mallya just stood up and said, "He's my Bangalore boy. Nobody's touching him." and that was the end of any other bid coming.
That was a strong marketing idea.
It was.
You just put your hand up and say, "This is my boy," and you don't get bid again. You bought at base price, were you?
I think so. I think that was the base price
wow.
that I was bought at. And I mean, there was no auction dynamics that you see today. So that's what I was told, that there was no other bid, because obviously the owner just stood up and said, "No way.
He's my boy.
No way he's going anywhere else other than Bangalore."
Interestingly enough, Shane Warne, your fellow leggy, also probably went at a base price or a bit more for Rajasthan Royals. Two leggies who captivated the imagination of world cricket for more than 2 decades ended up going at sort of base prices. A lot of people said T20 cricket, it's the death nail, it's the holy grail for spinners. It was far from the truth, right?
Yeah, it was. I mean, for me, it was quite a challenge to get my mind around to bowl just 4 overs, because the time that I started playing, I needed 4 overs to warm up. And the body required that kind of overs. And, for bowling 55, 60 overs in a test match on an average, and to come back and think that if you end up bowling 60 overs, you would have done with the tournament. and that was the mindset that one had to make. And it was not easy for me to change that mindset. But it became very evident that the best way to approach my 4 overs would be try and choose the most challenging ones. And then that's how you probably get into the game, rather than just thinking that, okay, bowl 4 overs and then get through with your spell and then just wait for the batters to go and do their job.
Right, Anil Bhai. So we are going to just look back at some of the amazing things that happened for you as a player, and also as a much larger role later on. So we'll dive into the first segment. The first segment is Reminisce with Ash. And in Reminisce with Ash, I've got some really wonderful questions. I just gave you a nice warm-up into the whole thing. And on Reminisce with Ash, my first question to you is, you spoke about spin and you had to adapt and bowling all those overs and you had to come back, it was a warm-up and all that. But the way you went about bowling, I still remember a game in 2008 when you were playing Chennai Super Kings at Chennai. 126, was it?
Yeah.
You remember that? 126.
I remember, yeah.
And you knocked over 2 back-to-back, and you used to bowl that beautiful googly behind your wrist, and you got Badri out sweeping or something, LBW. you didn't look like someone that was uncomfortable playing the T20 format.
No, I think the approach was always to take wickets, and that never changed, whether it was a T20 game or a one-day game or a test match. So for me, it was just that. So it was always easier to have that mindset, and like I mentioned, it was just a shift in the mind more than anything else. By the time, like I mentioned, by the time I started playing T20 cricket or IPL, I was almost done with international cricket. So it was just trying to get my thoughts around how I can, try and compete. And once you get into that competitive mode, it becomes that much easier. So yes, Chennai, I certainly distinctly remember, because the first season was a disaster for RCB, and and even last year, I think when I was doing commentary, there was a stat saying the only time that RCB has beaten CSK in Chennai was that game. Yeah, I don't think RCB has defeated CSK.
You mean at Chennai?
At Chennai. So at Chepauk. So I don't know if they have done it post then.
But it's a taboo, right? It's very difficult to break all those things. Anil Bhai, you mentioned about the first season, 2008, right? And you got Vijay Mallya just stood up and said, he's my boy. That done and dusted. The first year team that was aligned or assembled for RCB was Wasim Jaffer, Rahul Dravid, Jack Kallis, Shiv Narayan Chanderpaul, Anil Kumble, some of the legends of the game. Have you ever had this, because you know Mr. Vijay Mallya really well? Was it more about assembling the stalwarts of the game and allowing them to take care of what would happen? Or it was just a complete, a tactical sort of or people were still understanding the game?
No, I think people were still understanding the game. I mean, this was probably the best test 11 that you could put together. And yeah, it was not that, we couldn't adapt to T20. All of us did eventually. It maybe not in the first season as a team, but individually and as a team, we adapted to the T20 format, all the names that you took.
Yes.
So in that sense, I think nobody sort of knew what the strategy would be for a T20 game and what kind of a lineup you need to put together. You just said, okay, these are the best players, put them together, they'll be able to figure it out. And that's what it was. I mean, throughout the IPL, 2008, even 2009, and slowly but surely, teams started to understand, players started to understand what it needs to be done at the T20 level.
Right. You spoke about how people adapted. Jack Kallis went on to become an IPL legend himself, did really well at KKR, had a good stint, went on to progress. You yourself, okay, I want to hit this. Have you ever played the trump card games, Anil Bhai?
No.
Some of them have played the WWE trump cards.
Yeah.
And we used to play these cricket trump cards. And there used to be a 6 for 12 with Anil Kumble on a trump card. And the moment you had it, you won any hand that you had on the other side. Because it was probably the best analysis till date then. Something similar happened in the IPL in 2009. You had a 5 for 5 against Rajasthan Royals in South Africa. Can you talk us through a little bit about that particular spell and also the IPL in South Africa in 2009?
No, it was fantastic because till the last minute we didn't know where the IPL is going to be because of the elections. It got moved to South Africa, and then there was this talk about how will it be received? Will people come to watch an Indian domestic tournament? I mean, we had packed houses, and the cricket was fantastic. It was the back end of the season, so we knew that the wickets would be slower and not easy to score off. So that came in handy. So yeah, I mean, I certainly remember that Rajasthan Royals game. This was at Cape Town. It was a low-scoring game. I think we scored 120 or 130. I don't remember how much, but we had to defend that. And I mean, it just happened where things, you know how it is, one wicket happens and then you sort of try and get those wickets, and eventually Rajasthan got bowled out for 55.
It was one hell of a game. I still remember watching that game because South Africa, that was my first abroad tour with any cricketing team. So it was a very memorable one. Now you look at a lot of cricketers playing in the IPL. As we are speaking, Mahendra Singh Dhoni is hitting his 40s and he's comfortably playing the IPL format. It's 2020. I mean, he of course keeps wickets. It makes it easier. Do you probably think you hung up your boots a little too early? Could you have kept bowling on till now? Can you bowl still?
No, I can bowl still.
I saw you bowling at the
nothing else. But nothing else after that. I think if someone, the first sort of rider when you bowl in the nets is don't hit it straight back at me because you don't have the reflexes to move away from it. And all these guys hit the ball really hard. I mean, I was 40 when I retired from IPL. I was not retained by RCB. I was back in the auction. So the auction was a part of, I had signed up. But at the same time, my colleagues, the players who I played with, Javagal Srinath, Venkatesh Prasad, all of us, decided that we wanted to get into administration. And that's when we sort of fought an election at KSCA and then took over the administration at KSCA. So once we decided to get into that, it was very clear that I can't continue playing. So immediately I just pulled out from the auction and said, that's it.
But you put your name in the auction?
I was initially part of the auction list, but 2 days later I pulled out.
Where do you think you would have gone?
I don't know.
Vijay Mallya?
No, I don't think so. I don't think, I just wanted to make a point. I think we can certainly discuss offline what point I wanted to make, but I did certainly make a point.
Oh, interesting. I mean, how times have rolled along, and once upon a time, it was like maybe 30, 40 crores at the auction when you started?
Yeah, it was 40 rupees per
it was 40 crores for an auction purse.
Yeah, but even when it was done in dollars, it was 40 rupees per dollar, although the dollar was much higher.
Okay, it was standardized.
It was standardized at 40, yes.
Right, okay. So you said you moved into administration and hence you wanted to focus a little bit more on that. But one thing we cannot just ignore and go on is the fandom that RCB has. I've not noticed it only at RCB. I mean, even when Karnataka plays cricket at the Chinnaswamy, there is some vibe about that place. What is it is it probably the water you guys drink or what is it?
No, I think, the support that we have always received, whether you played for Karnataka, whether you played South Zone, whether you played for India, at the Chinnaswamy Stadium is massive. It's outstanding, and that sort of just spilled over when IPL started with RCB coming on board, and of course, the way the franchise was built in terms of not just on field but all the marketing around the team itself. It became massive. The franchise became, marketing-wise, a massive, franchise that everybody sort of wanted to aspire to be. Yes, cricket-wise, certainly the first year didn't go well. The second year was really good.
Yes.
Third year, again, we qualified for the Champions League, and we finished third in the third year. So the first 3 years, it was fine. That's when I was a part of. And then subsequently, I think, when Virat, of course, was there from day one, 2008 onwards, he was there. And then, the fandom just took a different level, obviously, following Virat. And then, you had Ross Taylor. Ross Taylor I have never seen probably any New Zealander get the kind of response that Ross got in those first couple of seasons when he played for RCB. Then similarly, ABD, and then Chris Gayle. I think these three guys, along with Virat, who's been constant throughout these years for RCB, certainly changed the way the fans look at RCB. And like I mentioned, Chinnaswamy Stadium is in the heart of Bangalore. And to get people to watch the game is massive. And that fan following has obviously remained. And initially, I think, the response of the Karnataka fans was more because there were a lot of Karnataka players in that. Slowly that's changed. Hopefully we'll see a lot more Karnataka players back in RCB.
Karnataka is producing some wonderful players that the other franchisees want, Anil Bhai. That's one good way of looking at it. But Anil Bhai, I want to dwell a little bit upon 2009 before I jump ahead. RCB, I sometimes, even as a cricketer, even though I'm a cricketer playing for another franchise, I feel looking at RCB fans, I get a bit of an envy. What is this love? Where is this crazy love stemming from for a franchise? I always knew the people from here say Namma Bengaluru, and they have a lot of pride around it. And for me, the question revolves around why RCB just needs a title, man, for the people at least. And the closest RCB got was under your captaincy. And till to date, you're probably the only player to get a man of the match in a losing cause in a final of an IPL. 143 to chase in a final at the Wanderers Cricket Stadium in the night, dew coming on. Is there a missed opportunity, Anil Bhai? What do you remember from the game?
Lots of things. All the missed chances that we had. A couple of catches went begging. Wides, no balls. I think PK bowled 5 or 6 wides.
Wides? Okay.
Yeah, extras. Sort of cost the game. I know 143 should have been chased down. Whenever I see Robin Uthappa, even now, I say, Robs, that 6. You should have hit that 6. At least you should have given me a strike. Because I kept begging him. I said, listen, Robs, don't look to scoop. Because RP was bowling that last over. I remember we needed something like 12 or 13 runs to win the game. And the first ball, Robs looked to scoop. I said, Robs, he's not going to bowl a Yorker. Just slog him. Okay, he's going to bowl a length ball. Okay, next ball, 6 or 4 he hit. 6, I think. And then again, third ball. I said, Robs, enough. Give me a strike. I'll slog. Something can happen. But then, eventually we lost by 6 runs. And whenever I see Robs, I say, Robs.
You're a cruel man.
I am, only in this regard. Because you remember that. And since RCB hasn't won since then, you obviously look back and think that maybe we missed an opportunity there.
Actually, there's a very, very, very funny man inside Anil Bhai. When he opens up to you, you can get that pulse of it. And the way he said, Robs, hand over the strike to me, I could so sense that. He's done that so much to me. I remember the test match here against India versus Australia. Anil Bhai just came and sat right in front of me when I was sitting. And he said, there is a rough outside the off stump. Just put it there, nothing else. And he was literally sitting there and pleading, saying, do this. And Anil Bhai, that's kind of, during the game it was different, but when I think back about it, it's so funny. But just diving back into the segment of 2009, Anil Bhai, 143 couldn't have been chased, and you moved on to 2010. Again, had a good season as a skipper. My whole question to you was, it was a very big transitional phase. You were the captain of the Indian team. You dealt with one of the most toughest phases for Indian cricket, the Monkey Gate saga. Okay, you were dealing with. I recently was hearing Virender Sehwag saying, if Anil Bhai wasn't there, Bajji wouldn't have continued playing, and that was a huge statement to make. And it is a, it is a sort of a. It's a massive compliment, Anil Bhai, and I could gloat over it again and again. And then you led an IPL franchisee. How different was both, or was it very similar? Do you find any?
No, I mean, it's just the cricket that you need to sort of focus on. And for me, captaincy came much late in my career. So it was more transition that I knew that it was not a period where I will remain captain for a long period of time with the Indian team. And that sort of came about. And even RCB came by chance, because I did offer to the management saying, look, I'm available to lead the side, because the first year Rahul led the side and then he didn't want to continue for the second season because of personal reasons. So when the team went to South Africa, I did offer saying, look, I'm available, I'm done with international cricket. But the management said, no, we'll wait. So KP, who was available only for the first 5 or 6 games, he led the team. And then once he left halfway through, I came in. So it was just a transition for me, and it was all about getting the team together. And I'm really glad that everyone sort of responded for us, because at that stage when we came in, it was a coincidence that we started winning from there on. We had to win literally 6 out of 7 games to qualify, which we did, and qualified. Then semi-finals, we beat CSK, and then moved to the finals in 2009, and then it continued the following year. So yeah, it was nothing different. Yes, managing the overseas pro who sort of you always played against. They were a part of your dressing room, and that was the only thing. But I think the mutual respect was always there, so there was nothing different managing an Indian team versus an IPL.
Right. You were a player. You did a bit of backroom support staff work for RCB as well. And then you moved on to Mumbai as a mentor in 2013, the first ever title for Mumbai Indians. Then as a director for Kings 11, also a coach at Kings for a year.
For 3 years,
you were a director for the last year, and then...
No, I was 3 years all the way. Okay. 3 years was coach, yes.
You worn so many hats in the IPL. How different have every one of those hats been? They must have been a little different. You were dealt with Mr. Vijay Mallya, then you had to deal with probably the biggest trillionaire from our country, and then you had to deal with 3-4 owners at Kings. How contrastingly different have each one of those experiences?
No, it was different. It was obviously different. I mean, for me, RCB was gradual, same, nothing different. I was the mentor for RCB. My job was to put together the strategy and also the support team, which I did for the first 2 years. Then I moved on to Mumbai. No different. I mean, the owners were very welcoming. Obviously, the involvement of the owners in all the three franchises are similar. And I don't think, people think always that grass is greener on the other side, when you have challenges within your group. I mean, especially when people talk about Punjab. I never had any issues with any of the owners. The only challenge for me with Punjab was all the 3 years that I was a part of Punjab coincided with the pandemic. And we had to play all those 3 years in a bubble. It's quite a challenge managing 35, 40 people, players, support staff, then everything else, because I sort of was handling some portion of the admin as well, because the CEO, Satish, didn't want to be a part of the bubble because of his, he said, no, I can't handle this 7-day quarantine. So I sort of had to double up with that. So it was quite challenging in that sense. Cricket was always, taken care equally in the way you look at RCB or a Mumbai or a Punjab. But what Mumbai certainly we did, that was the first title that Mumbai Indians won. There was enough, superstars in that team. It was just a matter of just to get the support team. I'm happy that some of the support team that was brought in 2013 still continue to be with Mumbai Indians, and they treat all of us like a family. And the one thing that Mumbai certainly does, I tried with some of the other franchises that I've worked with, is to manage the players post IPL. I think that's the biggest difference that you see with Mumbai. I mean, they've put together a system in place where
when you say manage, is it only cricketing or everything?
Cricketing and even, I mean, not everything, but then in terms of cricketing, you have a place to go back and practice. They provide you with all the other facilities for you to sort of ensure that your cricket is looked after. And that's something that I think, especially with the Indian players, people talk about IPL, people talk about international players. Yes, it's a great place for international players to come in and participate, but it's all about, winning is all about how well your 7 and now 8 Indian players perform. Yeah, that's the most important aspect. So the focus was to ensure how can we get 7 high quality Indian players, because you'll only probably get 2, 3 international Indian players. The rest of it you will have to build.
Mix and match, yeah.
Yeah, and that's something that I think Mumbai has done really well.
Before we move on to the next segment, which is going to be the Gentlemen's League, I want to ask, when you said 2013 about Mumbai and how well they manage players off-season, that was the dawn of the Rohit Sharma era, as you may say. He's got 5 titles now. Did you see those things happening when you first worked with Rohit, the captain? What stood out? He was a young captain with still Sachin Tendulkar playing probably. Yeah. And some of the really senior players also were playing at that point of time. Ricky Ponting was still around.
Yeah. So the entire plan was to get Ricky into becoming a captain, and there was a bit of a concern because he was again at the back end of his career in terms of how well he'll go in a T20 format. I mean, great player, legend. But towards the end, there's always, especially if you are going to make him
You put away
captain.
the monkey gate issues and still brought him on?
Yeah, I think my objective has always been what's good for the team. I don't think I look at personal issues or personal challenges or whatever. I don't look at all of that at all. I mean, I've never believed in that. For me, what does the team require? And if I believe that I have to get somebody, despite whatever people think or perceive people to have in their views about us, I never bothered about it. So for me, it was important that somebody who's won a World Cup, because I felt that the team at Mumbai had everything. All it needed was somebody who's been there, done that. And that's one of the reasons why we sort of went and chose Ricky at the auction and made him the captain. And once the first few games didn't go well, Mumbai didn't win enough games, there was pressure to change that because only 4 players you had to replace. So Ricky was kind enough to sort of step aside, and that's when we decided that we'll go with Rohit. What was very evident with Rohit when John Wright and I still remember when we walked into his room in Calcutta, we were playing KKR, I think, and we were in Calcutta. So when we went to Rohit, he was extremely confident. There was no hesitation when we said, Rohit, are you ready to captain? There was no hesitation, despite all these big names being a part of the team. So that stood out. I mean, that's what you want. The first time that you express or show that, look, are you ready to take over the responsibility? And if there is no hesitation and you're confident, that sort of gives it all. And Rohit was very clear that he was ready to take over.
What is it with you and young captains? You moved over to Kings, and you also had a captain there to deal with, groom with, KL Rahul, who's doing the first time stint as a captain for Kings, and then he's gone on and been a very successful captain in the last 2 editions. Become the captain for LSG, and he's gone on to 2 playoffs. What is it with that? I mean, do you like grooming younger captains, or it just happens?
No, it just happens. It just happens. Even at RCB, we picked Dan Vittori and then moved to Virat. So Virat was made captain for RCB when I was the mentor, and similarly with Rohit, and similarly with KL. I strongly believe that IPL franchises, if you look at building a franchise, you need an Indian leader. Because like I mentioned, it's about the 7-8 players which sort of build the franchise and make the franchise and win you championships as well. So that was the intent, and I'm really glad that all these players have gone on to do exceptionally well, not just for the franchise but for the national team as well.
So remember, all the young ones who want to play the IPL in a team where Anil Bhai is coaching or mentoring, if you're there, you stand a good chance to becoming a leader and winning 5 titles.
No, I did try to persuade you to stay back, which unfortunately didn't happen. If that had happened, maybe we would have had a different conversation and we wouldn't have done this Kutti story now. maybe we would have had a trophy in front of us here. But it was unfortunate that
this is not supposed to be edited. Keep this.
No, keep this, because I want this on record as well. That Ash had already moved out of Punjab, and I literally had to plead, saying, Ash, come back, because I just had taken over as part of the Punjab management, and unfortunately, this is all I have of Ash.
But that's the only thing that I've not listened to what he said. The rest all I've listened, right?
Yeah.
You're a good boy. Anyway, Anil Bhai, it's time to move on to the next segment. It is a Gentleman's League question brought to you by Peter England. And Anil Bhai, if I look at a gentleman, right, and then I say, where do I look around? You've probably been one of the best gentlemen of the game, and you're like in any way symbolizing that. But of late, you've been on the ICC committee, you've been on several other things, and there have been things that I've also raised in the last few years. I've been in the thick of things, in the storm of the news. There is another episode beyond just what I did, which is where somebody throws a ball, it hits a batter and moves, and somebody runs for it. The spirit of cricket constantly keeps coming back like a snake into the game. What are the traits to identify a gentleman cricketer? Is it just the spirit of cricket, or how he acts on the field, off the field? What is your take? What are your thoughts?
No, I think it's about being competitive and just aligning to the rules of the game. As long as you're playing under the rules of the game, and because it's not just about representing your country, it's not just about representing a team when you're out there. You inspire a lot of young players to take up the game, to take up the sport. So it's a responsibility of all the players who are out there to also believe that our actions and our body language will also be replicated. People are not just looking at the skill, they're also looking at how can I become so and so. So in that sense, nobody can define the spirit of the game. It's just about your nature, about how you want to be perceived as on the field. And as long as you conform to all the rules of the game, I have no problems with that. Because cricket is such a game that no matter how many things you put in black and white, there'll still be some new things that you will discuss, you will debate. That's the beauty about the sport. The beauty about the sport is even today, people compare batters of this era with Don Bradman.
Is it right or wrong?
No, I'm saying that's the beauty about the game. Whether right or wrong, my belief is that if you have succeeded in international sport or international cricket in one era, you will easily be able to adapt to any era. Okay. So that's the reason that you have succeeded in this era is because you've been adapting. You've been adapting to various situations. You've been proving time and again that you're good enough at this level. And if you've been able to do that, you'll be able to do that in any era. So for me, so when people ask me saying, pick the best Indian 11 throughout the last so many years, I hate those conversations because, I mean, there's no such thing as that. You can never ask them to go out and play a match. So it's all hypothetical and it's mostly statistical. So all those I don't believe in. So coming back to the spirit of the game, I certainly believe that it's your personality that reflects on field and off field. And sometimes, there's a lot of message in not saying something than saying something, and that I believe strongly in.
Like when you say it's better not to say certain things, what exactly do you...
No, I mean, sometimes in situations where there could be a conflict, you're better off not saying things and just being a part of a conflict, because then it boils down to, it's not a debate, especially when it comes to certain aspects of the game where people think that one person is right, the other person isn't right.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm again cutting in.
Yeah.
Did you say anything or you didn't say anything when the whole Monkey Gate episode opened up?
No, I don't need to say anything.
What was it? What made everybody say Anil Bhai is the guy?
No, I think when you look at the game itself as the larger, when you put the institution above everyone else, okay, and individual players come and go. I mean, today I'm done. You're the match winner now.
Or I'll be done as well.
No. I'm saying there'll be a new Ashwin coming in.
Of course.
So that's the way the game goes. So people remember, believe me, people will remember all the great things. You may now feel that people pinprick at or look at certain individual performances of yours and then criticize, but nobody even remembers those once everything is done. So the game itself is above all of us, the institution. So when you have that at the top of your mind, and then everything else falls in place. So for me, I am today who I am is thanks to the game, thanks to the sport. As long as I do everything, whether it's on the field, off the field, or with anything else that I'm associated with, keeping the game above anything else, then rest of it will take care of itself. And that's always been my belief. Because the moment you start taking the sport for granted, you're aware, it'll kick you up your backside very quickly.
Is it safe to say spirit of the game is respecting the game and keeping it at the foremost?
Yes, always. Nothing else, because it's a legacy. It's something that has been there for a long period of time, and it's been passed on through generations. It's our responsibility to ensure that the next set of cricketers who come out from the streets of Bengaluru or Chennai or wherever, they also respect the game and carry forward that legacy.
All right, Anil Bhai, that's quite a spiritual way of finishing that particular segment. Anil Bhai has put me in a spot many a times, but it's my turn now. I'm going to put him on a spot with some quick fire questions on DRS with Ash, brought to you by Probo. And on this, Anil Bhai, before I give you those rapid fire questions, I want to give you a chance because this is the DRS.
Okay.
And you were on the ICC committee that processed the DRS, right?
Yes.
The ball tracking and all that.
Yeah.
Now there's so much debate about umpire's call, this on and so forth. But in case I gave you an opportunity through the IPL, you told me about some things that didn't go the way you wanted. What is one decision you would like to review and correct of your own career or through the IPL?
Through the IPL?
Yeah, anything.
Yeah, no, let's look at only IPL.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the last over I spoke about, Robin Uthappa, that is something that I want to go
You want
back.
to review the entire
I want to
over?
review the entire over and then try and see if we can change.
What would you do differently?
I would change Robin's thinking of not scooping. Rather than that, hit and get out at long on. It doesn't matter.
Like, so you wanted him to turn the strike over and you wanted to hit the ball, is it?
No, I wanted to hit the ball because I knew that I won't do all those scoops. So I knew that the length ball would be there and try and whack it as hard as possible. I mean, that probably is the only thing.
Okay.
When it comes to IPL.
When it comes to the IPL. What about the 2011 auction? Would you?
No. I'm happy. I'm in a happy space.
You don't want to review?
No, I don't want to review that at all. I'm
So-
happy that I took up administration.
We discussed this before when I was a player and you were the coach of the Indian team.
Yes.
What about the ball tracking?
Ball tracking
You
is
still
something.
think off spinners from over the stump shouldn't get LBWs?
No, I'm saying ball tracking needs to be seriously looked at. It's not. The technology is not foolproof, and that's one of the reasons why there's umpire's call.
So you're saying the umpire's call is to protect the umpires or protect the technology?
No, nothing is foolproof. I mean, it's all virtual. So the technology is there. There are certain margin of errors, and yes, there is margin of error for the umpires too. But the technology was brought in to take care of the howlers, which anyway were there. Bat pads given LBW, nicks which were not given. And I mean, we can go back to the Sydney Test match.
Go back to Mark Benson and Steve Bucknell.
Yeah, so I'm saying, those kind of errors which could have easily been changed.
So for today, all people that are actually commenting about it in a negative way, we should understand and we should also suffice to the fact that it's made the game a better place?
It has certainly made the game a better place. But then if you're looking for the minutest of things to also be adjudicated by the tech, I don't think we've reached that stage yet.
You will get there?
I don't know. I mean, we don't know what's coming up next in terms of tech. It's fast moving, and there's a lot of things happening in the space. Yeah, maybe
You are in the
one
tech
day.
space of the game, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Bat chips.
Yeah, so that will certainly give you whether the bat has actually been involved in any edge when you have those bat hitting the ground, and at the same time ball passing the bat really close, and there could be a spike because of the sound. So certainly if you put the sticker on the bat, you will certainly know for sure whether it hit the inside edge or the outside edge.
All right, I warmed you up. I've thrown you a few half volleys. Now it's time to put you on the spot. Okay, Anil Bhai, the first question is, I'm taking you back to the auctions and some prices of players. At what price was MS Dhoni bought by CSK in the inaugural edition of the auction, 2008? You want to? I'll give you options.
Yeah.
Option A, 4 crores. Option B, 6 crores. Option C, 8 crores. And option D, 12 crores.
No, 4.
4.
I think so.
Okay.
I think, yeah, he was an icon as well. So he got.
No, he wasn't an icon player.
Okay, yeah, 4, I think.
He was bought at the auction by CSK.
I think 4.
Okay. If I give you a DRS to review that.
Maybe 6.
Okay, I'll give you that. It is 6.
6.
Because the dollar was standardized at 40.
Correct.
And he went for something like $1 million or something, a little bit more.
900,000, yeah.
A little bit
something like
more, and I think he got 6 crores in the auction.
Okay.
Right, the next question, Anil Bhai. This, I think you should just breeze through this. It's an easy question
Okay.
for you. Who was the bowler that Punjab Kings acquired for the highest bid in the 2020 auction? Do you want options?
2020 auction?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Do you want options? The
Yeah, you
pattern.
can. Yeah, you can. Yeah.
Option A, Ravi Bishnoi. Option B, Sheldon Cottrell. Option C, Kagiso Rabada. And option D, Chris Jordan.
No, I think it was Sheldon Cottrell.
Yes, it was. Any guesses on the price?
7.5, I think.
8.5 crores.
Okay.
Perfect. Question 3, again with related to Kings 11. Who's the costliest player in the history of the auctions for Punjab Kings, and what is the final price?
Must be Sam Curran. Must be 19.5. Is it 19.5? Yeah, it is.
It's not 19.5, I think it's 18.5.
18.5. Okay.
Do you know that Sam Curran was there at the Kings 11
Yeah,
Punjab for 5.5 crores?
Yeah. No, he was at 7.
7 crores.
7.5.
7.5 crores. That's a good stock to buy then. If you bought something at 7 rupees and it's sold at
Yeah,
19.
yeah. I mean, those things you take a call at that point in time. So you're not looking at the future, but I mean, 19.5.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah, I'm sure Sam was not complaining.
He is not. Question 4. Who is the most expensive uncapped signing by an IPL team? Option A, Shah Rukh Khan. Option B, Rahul Tewatia. Option C, Avesh Khan. And option D, Krishnappa Gautam. It's a trick question, Anil Bhai. You can just...
Gautam.
It's a trick question.
Trick question. So
Yeah, we are in Nama Bengaluru, so it's a trick question.
So, yeah.
That's the clue I can give. It's a trick question.
Yeah, so Gautam only, I think, 9.5.
It's actually Avesh Khan at 10
Avesh
crores.
Khan.
A lot of people don't remember that
Okay.
he was an uncapped player when he went for that prize 2 years ago for LSG.
Okay.
It's pretty close.
I thought
Gautam also went for
9.5 or something.
for CSK.
CSK,
He went
yeah.
for CSK, yeah. Question 5, Anil Bhai, and the last question. What was the first trade ever made in the IPL history? Who were the players traded to which teams? Even if you can give one of the players, I'll give it to you. Option A, Chennai Super
Shikhar Dhawan, was it? I
Yes,
think
it
so,
is.
yeah. I think he moved from Mumbai to Delhi.
Anil Bhai, high level Anil Bhai.
So I remember when I played. So yeah, so I think it was in 2011, 12.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
It was.
I remember. Yeah.
And he
I think
did
it was
move.
Shikhar.
Yeah. Unbelievable
I think,
answer.
yeah. He was at Mumbai. I remember in 2011, and then he moved to Delhi, and then subsequently Delhi sort of traded him to Hyderabad.
They traded Hyderabad bought him.
No, I think
they
they
bought him.
traded. I think again it was a trade. I think so. I don't think they bought him.
I can't really
Yeah,
argue
so
on
I
that
think
because
so.
I'm not sure.
I think so.
All right, Anil Bhai, that's been a wonderful story. It's actually not a Kutti story. It's been quite a large Kutti story. So I've enjoyed interacting with you as always. So that's bringing a wrap on Kutti Stories with Ash Bhatti by Peter England. Thank you so much for doing
Thank
this.
you,
Anil
thank
Bhai.
you, Ash.
Thank you. And here's a little something from,
Thank
from
you.
me, Anil Bhai.
Thank you.
Peter England's giving gift hampers for you.
Thank you.
For your lovely stories.
Thank you.